I'm super excited to be here today with a co-host of the Ascend and Thrive retreat, Dr. Jeff Grove. Jeff, thanks so much for being here and talking about this today with us.
Hey, Laura. Great to see you. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I know. I'm super excited too. And you are in Steamboat Springs, and that's where the retreat is happening this fall. And it's an event in your hometown, at your home, in one of the most beautiful places in the country during peak fall colors, right? That's great.
Totally. Yeah, not only have you and I put together some exciting, fun content. I mean, we already said this is not going to be. I love how you said it the other day in our meeting. It's not going to be your dad's CE event, right? And to build on that, we wanted to find the right environment, a place where dentists could really connect, relax, be in nature. It's a beautiful time of year up here. The aspens should be in peak, yellows and reds and greens. And, it's before the snow comes in. Hopefully have had snow in September, but it should be a really beautiful time and an environment to get connected with each other as a group, with nature, and just get away, right? Get out of our practices, get out of our daily routines and grind, and just have some fun.
That sounds wonderful. I want to go right now, even though it's not fall, and we're just coming into spring. But why do you think that the setting is so valuable? Why do you think the actual location that we've curated is just as valuable as the CE that we're going to be teaching in the room?
Great question. I'm sure you can remember CE events that left you completely drained, right? You've already had a busy week of practice, and then you zip off to some city in the United States or someplace, and you sit in a probably cold, no windows meeting room for a couple days, drinking from the fire hose, getting all this content. You grab dinner, you call home, check in with your family, and you go to bed and do it all over again. And then you fly home or drive home, and you're expected to be recharged and ready to just like get after it, in your practice on Monday. And, you and I have been working on this for months, Laura, and we're just like, no, we're not doing that. We want people to get away and recharge and get a break and come away with obviously some great content, some great ideas, some great inspiration, but also just be, all right, breath of fresh air. And when here would be one of my goals, Laura, when they go into their practice on Monday, their team's like, what happened to you? And they're all just like, you need to go to Steamboat Springs for Jeff and Laura's CE more often. Like and they're just fired up because they can see a difference and they're recharged. So you've got to have the right environment. It's got to be something that's just inspiring and relaxing and calming. And you get outside, and you and I have allowed plenty of time in our agenda to, for people to have fun and relax. And we're going to have an event in our home. We're going to have everybody one of the evenings. We wanted this to be small and intimate, and we really want to get to know you, our attendees, and anybody that's thinking about coming either this year or next year, because this one's filling up pretty quickly. We also want you to get to know each other really well too.
Yeah, it sounds like a great event. Thanks for hosting us in Steamboat Springs.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
All right, Jeff, you talk a lot about leadership in your book and in your coaching practice. But I'm curious because when you're working with a young dentist who's really never thought of themselves as a leader, how is it that you help them see that immediately when they put on that lab coat, that white coat, their loops every day, they already are a leader,
Right.
whether they feel like it or not?
Yeah, totally. It takes some time. It doesn't sink in, I guess I would say, for especially younger dentists, Laura. They're so focused on learning and perfecting the craft of dentistry, working with their hands, managing patients, all very difficult muscles, I call them, to build when you're a new dentist. And it's difficult to have any bandwidth or energy left over to be the leader that they need to be with their teams. So it's naming it, right? It's naming it and saying, this is real. You are a leader. The practice, the patients, the team, they look to you for guidance. They're reflective of your moods, your actions, your communication styles, etc. When you're not calm, they're not going to be calm. When you're calm, cool, and collected, they're going to be calm, cool, and collected. So it's just really naming it and then framing it and saying, like, it just is the way it is. And it's a skill set that needs to be built and cultivated, just like doing, you're having the right matrix system and getting a great contact and making sure your margins are beautiful on your crowns. It's a skill that just has to be developed.
I love that. I love that thought of we can grow into leadership, right?
Absolutely. There's some people that think you're just born with it. Either you're a good leader or you're not. And I've seen that disproved so many times. It is a skill that can be learned. It's a muscle that can be built. It's a certain communication style. It's a way you serve people. It's what you do for people. It's not what people do for you. That's Simon Sinek. I love his definitions and his writings on leadership. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jeff.
So great to be talking to you today, Laura. And I cannot wait to hear you speak to our coaching clients who are attending our first Ascend and Thrive. You talk a lot about moving people out of cognitive overdrive. I love that term, and into what you call embodied leadership. So tell us, what does that mean? And what does it look like and feel like in real life for a dentist?
Yeah, it's something that just really resonates with me in the sense that our training, even from like undergrad on through dental school, through residency, is very focused on our brain. We are very driven. We are goal oriented. We know what the next steps are. We know how to think our way through tough situations. And because of that, we tend to forget about the rest of our body, right? And
Mhm.
just use our brain. And then throw us into a busy clinic day where it's go, go, go all day long. And then our posture, which even with great ergonomics, we are focusing on a very small area. We are bent over, which is telling our body that, yes, we're in fight or flight. We're not safe. And so all day long, we're in this low grade cognitive overdrive, sympathetic overdrive system. And in time, that can get to be where you lose touch with your creative side, your ability to solve problems, your ability to think through things in a embodied way that brings true change. And so there's great things that you can do, even just short little breaks during the day to bring yourself back online with your body, where your natural leadership really thrives. And so that's more of the embodied leadership, getting in tune with when you're in that cognitive overdrive, recognizing that this is not where the best creativity, the best problem solving, or maybe even the best relationship building happens. And to recognize when your body needs that break to bring it back down into the body so that you can think more creatively.
That is so beautiful. I feel like you just described like the entire antidote to burnout, like in, you know, a few brilliant sentences. Why is it that dentists just can't give themselves a break, and why when we're working, I mean, is it adrenaline? Like, why are we so out of tune with all of the dysfunction that we're creating and the stress we're putting on our body?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think a lot of it is that we have been taught to be problem solvers. We have been taught to look for problems, right? That's our whole philosophy. We go into an exam, we look for problems. We look at the schedule, we look for problems. We try to solve that. So we are constantly in problem solving mode. Plus, we have been rewarded for being productive. We have been rewarded for pushing through our feelings. We have been rewarded for putting our needs last. And so, of course, we get out of touch with all of those things. And it comes to a head, usually a lot of times. Some dentists are experiencing it a lot earlier in their careers, but a lot of dentists experience it kind of mid career. And they're just like, wow, something's not quite right here.
Yeah. And sometimes it could be too late then, right? Gosh, I can't wait to hear this talk. And it's one of these, when I hear messages like yours, I'm just like, oh, why didn't I hear that 15 years ago? Where were you in my life?
Right. Well, and I think that too. And that's why we do what we do, right? Because we're giving back to those that are there now. So
Love it.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You use a framework in your book, which I love what you call it, the armamentarium 7 tools that you believe every dentist needs to thrive. And so, if you had to pick one tool that most dentists are missing, that maybe causes the most damage or when it's absent, what would that one tool from that armamentarium be?
Oh, you said that perfectly, as a dentist should, right? Yeah, I decided to call it that, Laura, because we're used to using a set of tools and instruments to approach a certain challenge or problem. So I'm hoping that term, and I'm seeing that term resonate with dentists, because, like, yes, we diagnose, we treat, we need a set of instruments and tools to get that done. And it's the same, in the let's just say less clinical aspects of how you approach your dental practice. And out of the 7 tools, that's a great question. I've had a couple people ask me that. I really have a hard time narrowing it down to one, but I can give you 2. And it's leadership and relationships. People just really, dentists, especially young ones, and even really dentists in all stages of their career, they undervalue the importance of their leadership and the direction that they are navigating, if you will, their practice, their team, their culture. And they underestimate their relationships with their team, their relationships with their patients, the relationships with the community, with vendors, with coaches, mentors, people that are out there that can help them grow. Dentists tend to get in these silos of action, and they are, I don't know if it's competition or, intimidation or what, but they shy away from some of the key relationships, that can really help set them free and help them achieve the freedom that they wanted when they became, independent or became a dentist and said, like, I want to do my own thing. I want to be a dentist. A lot of them are not finding the exact freedom. So I would say those are the 2 things, the two tools in the armamentarium, that if you're going to pick 2 out of 7, it would be those 2.
Oh, those sound like great tools and something to definitely have on your tray for a successful dental life procedure, right?
Absolutely, for sure. And they take time to develop, and they're learnable. It's a matter of really just looking deeply and closely at yourself to start, and making sure that you are in a spot to lead and to build great relationships. Because if you are, so many things will be a lot easier. It'll just take a whole lot of friction out of your dental career if you can get a good handle on your leadership and your relationships.
Awesome. I love those tools. Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome. Laura, you described your work as success that feels as good as it looks. For a group of dentists who have built genuinely impressive practices and careers, why is that phrase so important? And what does it mean to you personally?
This is a very personal question in the sense that when I had it all, the healthy practice, the patients that loved coming to the practice, the great team, um, kids, home, husband, had it all. I felt empty inside.
Hmm.
And so, there was that external success, and I had followed all the paths to get there. And I wondered, why am I not happy? And then I felt guilty about not being happy. And the interesting piece of this is now hindsight, looking back and working with clients, a lot of them feel the same way. And so the key here is, why not build success that feels as good as it looks?
Hmm.
And that really begins with really doing assessment on what is your North Star? What are your values? What are your virtues? What are the things that are important to you? And are you drifting from those when you're building this success? Because that's kind of what I did. I kind of drifted, and that's where I had that empty feeling. And so it really is important to stop, once a year and kind of just assess, what are my North Star values? What are my North Star virtues? Am I following them? Is what I'm going to plan for next in alignment with those? And if the answer is yes, great. You're going to have success that feels as good as it looks. And if the answer is no, it's not going to feel as good as it looks. And it's just as simple as that. And so I think that that's a very important piece for successful professionals to recognize, that they get to the top of the mountain and they either like the view or they recognize that they got to climb another mountain.
So good. And thanks for your vulnerability, your transparency, and exposing this, because we as dentists, we feel like we have to have this like hard, perfect, maybe hard's the wrong word, but this perfect image, this exterior that everything's great. I got this, everything's dialed in. And I was just at a meeting a few months ago, and they did some anonymous surveys and revealed that a lot of those perfect exteriors underneath is a person who is absolutely cracking, getting beat down by the profession and burning out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It makes me really sad. And I know, having lived it, that it is really hard to feel comfortable to acknowledge that. And that's why something like the Ascend and Thrive retreat is so special. Because when you feel comfortable, when you feel at ease, when you're out of sympathetic overdrive and your parasympathetic system comes back online, and you're able to say, yeah, you're right. I'm not feeling this right now. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with the success that I have right now. And I feel like I've drifted. And so that's why this is so important, this work that you and I both do. And that's why this retreat is so important to us, because it brings people together in a setting that is comfortable, with a small group of people that can really have great conversation and also experience just some relief from the go, go, go of their daily life.
Awesome. All right, Laura, you work at this intersection of neuroscience, somatic wisdom, nervous system intelligence, which fascinating, mind-boggling, maybe unfamiliar to some of the dentists out there who are listening to this. Give us a real, like, concrete example of what it looks like when someone shifts out of survival mode and what you call, and I love this, like I have to pause for this, sustainable presence.
Yeah. Probably one of my favorite recent win stories is with a client I've been working with for about 4 years. And she allowed me to tell this story because I was just enamored when she told me this story. But we got on a call and I said, how's things going? She said, well, I had a day, let me tell you. And how many times do we hear that, right? And
Yeah.
she's like, it was a great day. And I was just like, oh, fantastic, let's hear about it. So she started telling me, and she's the morning appointment was a big aesthetic composite anterior case, and the patient was extremely anxious, and she would not stay numb. So she had to use, multiple carpules of anesthetic and was worried she wasn't going to be able to complete the case. And it drained her. And she didn't end up being able to finish. She had to kind of temporize some things. She felt sort of a little bit like a failure for this patient. And she said, so then my afternoon patient was a child who came in with their mom who was anxious, had a bad experience at the dentist before. And so we went through that procedure, and it went so well that afterwards the child and the mom hugged me. And it was just a phenomenal experience. And so as she was telling me this, I'm like, I'm really curious, but you explained this as a great day, but that first part of your day did not sound great. And she said, you're right, it wasn't. But because of what we've gone through, I knew that after that appointment, I needed to reconnect with myself. I needed to shake off the stress. So she went back to her office. She put on some music. She loves classical music. She put on some classical music and just kind of shook out her arms. She got a little index card and she wrote down everything that she wanted to do better the next time the patient came. So she did that. And then she took a few deep breaths and recentered herself. And she said, and that's why I was able to go in and give that child a good experience. She said, had I not done that, I probably would have had that residue and I probably would have come in frazzled and given that child another not good dental experience.
Wow. I love that word residue. I've never heard that thought before, but we as dentists can be, without this training, right? Without training and without understanding what sustainable presence means, we are so easily thrown into the negative, right? By a negative, let's face it, the rare negative review, the rare negative comment from a patient, the procedure that doesn't go well. Most of them do, but that one creates that residue. I love that. It just throws us into, and it just can cloud the whole week, the month. I see that so often. That is an incredible tool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so powerful that you're able to help her in that way.
Yeah. It was just a definite win and just fueled my thought as, if we just need to talk about this, we need to talk about this with our colleagues and just be like, hey, you're right. This is a hard career. This is a challenging day that you go through every day. Why not? Let's talk about what those challenges are and how we can best navigate them so that we can come in essentially with a fresh, clean slate for every patient. And maybe most importantly, a fresh, clean slate for ourselves.
Beautiful. Great work. Can't wait to hear more.
Yeah.
So Laura, thank you for everything that you shared. This agenda is going to be amazing. This is our first Ascend and Thrive retreat that we're hosting for dentists. It's a small, boutique, if you will, CE event. Bring your spouse or significant other. The dates, most of our dentists are flying into town, Steamboat, on September 24th. Our content and our activities are on September 25th and 26th. That's a Friday and Saturday. Stay through the weekend, stay into the next week if you want, and just enjoy Steamboat. We have a few slots left. Laura, wrap this up for us. I mean, like, why should dentists grab those last few spots if they can?
Yeah, you bet. I think that grabbing those last few spots, just really rounding out our experience with this small group that we're really curating for great conversation, great connection, great transformation that is different than your typical CE. And so if you mention that you saw this video, register with us, mention you saw this video, and we'll extend the early bird pricing for you, even though early bird is officially over. We'll extend that if you mention this video. And we're just over the mountain, I would say over the moon, but I'm going to say over the mountain, excited to come together because we both have such genuine philosophies that really focus on the well-being, holistic well-being of a dentist, their team, and the people that they love outside of dentistry as well. And so this experience is really for them too. So we hope to see you there. Like we said, there's a few spots left, and this is our first inaugural event, but don't worry, we're planning more.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. I'm honored to be collaborating with you on this and just can't wait for September.
I know. I can't wait either. September 25th and 26th, Steamboat Springs, Ascend and Thrive 2026. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.